Welcome, everybody, to That Dog Training Show with Tanya Yarbrough. This is where we talk about the dogs we love and the stupid human behaviors we don't, also known as shubs. So today is our episode number 25, getting up there in the quarter century mark. Oh, I'm talking about myself again. All right, episode 25, The Standoff, another shub. All right, so just real quick, I do have a new class coming up this weekend. It's a 2-hour healing workshop, as in HEELING. It is not a revival. On Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. This will give you the basics on the proper way to walk the dog, what the dog expects and needs from you, and how to overcome basic distractions like, I don't know, other dogs. Aggressive dogs are welcome in this class. Don't worry, I can handle it. It's my job to get bitten if it's necessary. So, it's usually not necessary, but it does happen. All right, it's held outdoors near Blue Collar Working Dogs, so check out their website, bluecollarworkingdog.com, for more details and sign up there. All right, so back to our topic, the standoff. All right, this is something where I was inspired with the subject because in the past few weeks, there have been a plethora of people with their dogs who have them on loose leash, which is fine, or a tight leash, which is not fine, but are stretched out across the sidewalk and refuse to move over to share the sidewalk with me, whether I have a dog with me or not. I mean, you've all had that experience where people just simply refuse to share the sidewalk because they're a-holes. So usually these folks appear to me, as the ones that I've experienced recently, as the sort of a high-maintenance females, if I'm going to judge. But it's also been males. So this phenomenon of narcissistic power plays by so-called adults on the sidewalk kind of astounds me. So anyway, there's also that oft-repeated experience where people just have no control of their dogs and they let their dogs stare your dog or dogs down as you try to pass. Maybe they have them on a stretched out leash while their dog is getting more and more excited and becoming more and more agitated, right? Or threatening, really. They are a threat to your dog as far as your dog sees. Or maybe they just have their dog sitting down, but the dog is barely containing themselves and still visually focused on your dog while you try to pass, and your normally calm dog is now getting agitated. So, kind of like how you feel, all right, actually, let's make this personal. Kind of like how I feel when I walk down the street and some guy is staring at me, tracking me like a coyote does to a wounded rabbit. Oh, hell no. Right? I mean, that's like making you feel like the prey and they're the predator. That's always comfortable. Then there's those moments when I'm walking my dog, or actually I usually am walking someone else's dog too, and it becomes clear to me that the approaching dog and owner are not going to give me room to pass. And rather than deal with it, knowing that the dogs I'm working with have some level of training already and can focus on me, I have them stay while I wait for the shubster to pass. But they don't pass. They just stop to let their dogs do a standoff, staring at my dogs, pulling the leash, creating more agitation and aggression out of all the dogs involved. Even worse, the owner will let their dog get even closer to your dogs, right? I can't tell you how many times I've experienced that, and I'm like, oh, hell no. Because you took the time and effort to, make sure there was a clear passing for everybody, and these idiots are just like, hey, let's just do a head-on collision. Isn't that fabulous? I know it's happened to you. The standoff, whether you were forced into it or the shub's dog owner is forcing their dogs into it and causing more trouble. You've seen this all over the place. And if you live downtown Los Angeles, it's horrendous because there's not a lot of space to work around. You know what I mean? And there's so many distractions. Everything's a distraction. So it's just like the dogs are already agitated. So here's the deal. This past Sunday, walking to church. Yes, I go to church because I need it probably more than you do. I can tell you how many times I watched this happen between two other dogs, dog owners. It's like I'm not even walking a dog at the time. And one or more are letting the dogs stare at each other while they coo at them with high-pitched or whiny voice. Oh, it's okay. It's all right. It's good. See that friendly. Da-da. And the standoff between the packs actually creates a lot of what is called leash aggression or dog-on-dog aggression. So let's define the standoff here. Let's define this. When it's defined as when two packs, humans and dogs, approach each other either on the same sidewalk or from across the street, and the owners choose to just stand still, letting their dog stare at the other dog, pulling on the leash, or even blocking the sidewalk so you can't pass by without increasing the aggressive behavior. right? The dogs are basically forced by one or both owners to just eye each other and get more excited, positive or negative. All right, so this goes into my definition of aggression. Aggression is defined as overexcitement that is improperly channeled. So it could be one of a dog you consider friendly but is losing control on the leash, or one that is uncertain or preemptively takes a power stance of some sort. Intent does not matter when we're talking about aggression. Aggression is simply overexcitement, positive or negative, that is improperly channeled. An example, if you want to use a human example, is if someone comes to, you invite your friend to come over for like a party. Maybe it's an actual chill party or something. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a game they're watching or whatever. You open the door and they're like, hey, and they headbutt you. So unless you've actually agreed on the headbutting greeting, that's actually aggressive, even though the intent was, positive. And then you introduce to your friend to all your other friends or guests at your party, and they go and headbutt all of them. That's not friendliness, that's aggression. Okay? So it doesn't have to be about intent. And this is really hard for people to grasp. I find in an age of relative morality, right? I mean, everyone wants to emphasize someone's intent rather than their actions. Oh, they didn't intend to do that. But intent is important. Let's not completely brush that off. But for instance, when it comes to a charge of murder by a DA, they use an intent to assign what kind of murder charge to pursue. But they don't decide that because there was no intent to kill someone, they won't charge them with murder at all. Does that make sense, right? As much as people anthropomorphize with their dogs, they can't seem to fully commit themselves to anthropomorphizing their dogs. Given this example of a murder charge pursued by a district attorney, they would realize they have no business excusing their dog's behaviors because they decided their dog's intents are friendly in nature. Okay, and if that was complicated, rewind this podcast and you'll figure it out. All right, so you have no idea what I mean by aggression. You do have now an idea of what I mean by aggression and aggressive behavior. It is improperly channeled overexcitement, no matter the intent. All right, now let's get back to this whole Shubster move called the standoff. So a deeper definition of this is when two dogs from different packs are making eye contact, right? Got the picture? And at least one of them is standing still or being forced off their course. Here are the major elements of the standoff, a total Shubs move that it makes it a problem for dogs and cause epic fails on the walk, okay? The first one, staring. Staring increases aggression. Don't let your dog stare at another dog or whatever makes your dog distracted longer than 2 seconds. They should be trusting their nose, not their eyes. The eyes are the last thing. That means they're insecure if they're focusing on their eyes. Or they're intending to hunt. That's the only other option. So when people stop and let their dog stare at the other dog, maybe even while they're cooing, "It's okay, that's a good boy," or other such useless crap, the levels of hormones in the dog are increasing, probably exponentially, as each second passes while the dog stares at the other dog. This means you are actually encouraging your dog to be obsessed about the other dog in an improper way and to completely ignore you. And that leads them to just keep obsessing the next time they meet a dog, and the next time, and the next time, to the point that even getting the leash to start your walk before you left your house, your dog is obsessing about seeing another dog. And the Shubster thinks this behavior is because their dog likes other dogs, or thinks that if their negatively aggressive dog gets more exposure to dogs in this way, they'll overcome their fears. Nope. Allowing a dog to stare at another dog, no matter the intention, is always wrong. Always makes the walk an epic failure in focus and work ethic. Letting a dog stare at another dog also encourages that dog to be more reactive to other distractions as well. Think about a police dog, a canine. What do you see, even if you're watching just TV show or a movie, you see that the canine is actually, leaning the head forward and staring at their object. Their intended target, they're staring. And what is the policeman doing? Constantly yanking and pulling back. Why? This builds drive so that the dog will not let go of the concept of their intended target, even if they're getting shot at, stabbed, or beaten. So when you allow your dog to continue to stare down another dog, you are increasing the drive and making that dog feel like a target, the other one that's being stared at, and encouraging your dog to be an a-hole. Yeah, The standoff doesn't help. All right, so number 2, leash tension. Leash tension, either by the dog pulling or by the owner holding the dog back, is a very bad idea. The leash and collar should be about communication to the dog as well as outer boundaries of space ownership, which I'll get into. The leash, collar, and collar should not be about physically controlling the dog unless it's an emergency. Okay? For instance, if your dog lunges at another dog and clearly someone's going to get injured, yes, you pull back on the dog with the leash and collar. That's appropriate. All right, so why is this a problem? Constant tension on the leash builds drive in a dog, just like I explained with the police canine, right? You pull, they pull back. No dog needs to learn to do this. It's natural, and it's not specific to breeds, by the way. So as you are physically holding your dog in place in the standoff between your dog and another, you're actually encouraging your dog to charge towards the other dog. Once again, people tend to say really stupid things like, you're okay, the other dog is friendly, or even worse, they excuse their dog's leash-pulling, obsessive staring behavior as, my dog's really friendly. He just loves other dogs. Yes, probably as a snack eventually. No, see, this is it. Your dog is a hormonal mess when they're in that situation, and you have no concept of proper leash handling or dog manners. Just saying. All right, number 3 element here, space ownership. Ownership of one's space individually and as a pack is a key element of the pack walk, which is what you're on. So in the standoff, oftentimes the one who stops their dog to stare and pull on the leash, increasing their hormonal drive to charge the other dog, increasing the likelihood of overreacting to any other stimuli, and decreasing the dog's ability to obey the owner, that charged up dog is taking up a lot of space with that outstretched leash. Oftentimes the shove move of the standoff includes blocking the whole damn sidewalk, so the other owner and dog have to walk around them in the grass or around a parked car just to pass by on the public sidewalk. Right? So now not only is that simple rude behavior of blocking the public sidewalk, not only is it simply rude that to block a public sidewalk with your jacked up dog because you simply, stopped instead of reining in your dog. In some cities, blocking a public sidewalk, risking injury to another pedestrian with or without a dog, could be a citation, a fine, or even a misdemeanor charge. If the other pedestrian, by the way, especially with a well-behaved dog who is not charging, staring, or getting hormonally jacked up by the owner's encouragement, if the other pedestrian feels threatened by your jacked up dog, that could be considered attempted assault on person and property. If that person with a well-behaved dog feels threatened that there will be a battery, i.e. actual contact, that person has the right to use any force necessary to protect themselves and their property, which is their dog. I.e. if they kick your dog because your dog is charging towards them on the sidewalk, they have the right to do that. Because you're an idiot. You're the shubster who didn't keep your dog in control and make space for everybody else. Just saying. That's just the human issues of the space ownership element in the standoff. From the dog's perspective, if you actually care about your dog, if they are outstretched on a leash across the sidewalk, in their mind, they own capital O, capital W, capital N, and I'm not talking about the network, the sidewalk. They own it. And in their aggressive stance, the dog is literally challenging the other dog to cross the line. So you get this little move, right, where just as you try to pass such a dog in the standoff, they do a final growl or lunge or what have you towards you and your dog. Why? Because you didn't respect their claims of ownership of space, you idiot. At least that's how they see it. So, and you've indicated weakness, by the way, to both dogs, yours and the other, that you bow down to their claim of space of ownership just by the fact that you had to go around them. This makes the standoff dog more likely to do this kind of behavior again with more fervor. They're more likely to get even more hormonally high when they see another dog